So I was trying to write this story of my parents' death for like 10 years. I'm a reporter and I decided I would report it. So I interviewed a bunch of people who knew my parents. I requested their medical records. I tried to make sense of my father's financial stuff, but none of it seemed to be working. So instead, I wrote a chapter about my father's funeral and sent it to my little sister, Diana, who's also a writer, and asked her for her feedback.
She remembered everything completely differently. I remembered just this shadowy silhouette of my mother in the doorway telling me Dad was in heaven. And Liz remembered everything. She remembered the cop coming to the door. She remembered our mother's reaction. She spoke to our father on the phone, so our perceptions were completely different.
Immediately, we knew we were onto something. The fact that we each had such totally different experiences about the same exact story made us realize that this was really a book that had to be told from all four perspectives.
So they started to call me up and ask about things that happened when we were young, like the night Dad died. Then they started to ask about puberty and embarrassing things like that. And it was difficult to go through puberty in a house full of women. At the same time, it was pretty liberating to talk to them about it and to find out all these things I was embarrassed and ashamed of weren't that big of a deal.
They'd be telling me how they remembered things on the phone. I'd be like, wait a minute, no, that's not right. And it was like almost like they were making stuff up.
We weren't making things up. We were remembering things differently.
Even the title is an example of how we perceive things differently. At first, I was sort of down on The Kids Are All Right because I felt it was a little ubiquitous. But then Dan had this beautiful interpretation of it where he imagined it as though it was sort of this banner to our parents in heaven saying, you know, hey, we're all right.
I don't know, I thought it was a big sign to our parents, you know, like it's okay, you know, we survived, we're adults now.
I just loved it when Dan said that. I was like, that's it. That sealed the deal for me.
I came around when I realized the word right could work in different ways, and I started to think of it as the kids are all correct because we each disagree about really important things, but we all give each other the space to have our own truth.
I like it. I mean, it's fine. I hate The Who, and I thought it was going to be more of a soap opera reference, like Searching for the Edge of Tomorrow or something like that.
The coolest part of writing this book for me was to learn what my siblings went through when we were separated, because I was so cut off from them when I was with my foster family. I was so in my own world. You know, for instance, I didn't know that Dan went to a hooker when I was at summer camp, or that my sisters did so many drugs. But meanwhile, you know, after we all got back together and I moved in with Amanda, she gave me shit for smoking weed in high school.
I didn't give her shit. I just told her not to get stoned until after she did her homework. Anyway, if our parents hadn't have died, we probably wouldn't have been as wild as we were, although we were pretty wild, so maybe we would have been.
More than anything, I think we all learned that losing our parents wasn't the worst thing that happened to us. Being separated was. But we're all so close because of it, and I wouldn't give that up for anything in the world.
Me either.
Yeah, it's true.
It made us who we are.